There are 7 cities in the United States named London. 7. Not New London. Not Little London, just London. Same exact name as one of the most famous cities on planet Earth. And here's the wild part. Most Americans have no idea these places even exist. No tourists flock there, no double-decker buses, no Big Ben. Just small American towns carrying the weight of a name that belongs to a city of 9 million people on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. But why? Why would anyone name their tiny American town after the capital of the British Empire, especially after we literally fought a war to get away from Britain? It doesn't make sense unless you dig deeper, unless you start asking questions that nobody really talks about. And once you go down this rabbit hole, you'll discover a side of American history that's weird, fascinating, and honestly kind of hilarious. Today, we're taking a road trip through the Londons of America. We're going to explore who named these places, why they did it, and what these towns look like today compared to 100 years ago. Because the transformation is absolutely insane. And the stories behind these names, they'll change the way you think about how America was built. Stick with me, because this is going to get interesting. Let's start with the most obvious question. Where are these 7 Londons? Well, they're scattered all across the country. There's London, Kentucky, London, Ohio, London, Arkansas, London, California, London, Texas, London, West Virginia, and London, Indiana. 7 completely different towns in 7 completely different states, all sharing the same name as one of the world's most iconic cities. Now, if you're imagining bustling metropolises with millions of people, fancy architecture, and rich cultural scenes, let me stop you right there. These are not those kinds of places. Most of these Londons are tiny. We're talking populations in the thousands, sometimes even just hundreds. We're talking places where everybody knows everybody, where the biggest event of the year is a county fair or a high school football game. These are small-town America. Pure and simple. But that's what makes this story so fascinating. Because 100 years ago, these towns had big dreams. They had ambition. They genuinely believed they could become something great. And naming your town after London, England? That was a power move. That was a statement that said, we're going to be important someday. So let's dive into the biggest one. London, Kentucky. Population today? About 8,000 people. It's the county seat of Laurel County, nestled in the Appalachian region of southeastern Kentucky. Beautiful area. Lots of hills, forests, Daniel Boone National Forest nearby. It's actually a pretty decent place if you like nature and small-town vibes. But here's the kicker. London, Kentucky was founded in 1875. That's not even that long ago in the grand scheme of American history. The town was named by a woman. Yes, a woman. Her name was Susan Barton, and according to local legend, she won the right to name the town in a raffle. A raffle. Imagine that. You buy a ticket, you win, and suddenly you get to name an entire city. What would you name it? Your own name. Something funny? Something meaningful? Susan chose London. Why? Well, the story goes that she had just finished reading a book about London, England, and was fascinated by it. So she decided, you know what? We're going to be London too. And just like that, a tiny town in the hills of Kentucky became London. Now, 100 years ago, in the 1920s, London, Kentucky was a railroad town. The Louisville and Nashville Railroad ran right through it. That was a big deal back then. Railroads meant commerce. They meant connection to the outside world. They meant opportunity. The town had a bustling downtown area with shops, hotels, and businesses. People had hope. They thought London, Kentucky might actually become a major city someday. Fast forward to today, and well, that didn't exactly happen. The railroad is still there, but it's not the lifeline it used to be. The downtown area has struggled like so many small American towns. Some businesses have closed. Some have hung on. There's a Walmart now, which is basically the marker of modern small-town America. But the population hasn't exploded. It's grown slowly and steadily, but London, Kentucky is never going to rival London, England. And honestly, the people who live there don't seem to care. They like their quiet town. They like their community. They're proud of the name, even if it's a bit ironic. Now let's head north to London, Ohio. This one's even smaller. Population, about 10,000. It's located in Madison County, right in the middle of the state. And here's something interesting. London, Ohio was founded way earlier than London, Kentucky. We're talking 1811. That's only 35 years after America declared independence from Britain. Think about that for a second. We just fought a whole war to get away from British rule, and then people are immediately naming towns after British cities. That's either incredibly ironic or a sign that Americans didn't actually hate Britain as much as we pretend we did. Maybe it was more complicated than that. Maybe it was about respect, about acknowledging that Britain, whatever our political differences, had cities and culture worth emulating. London, Ohio was named by a surveyor named Patrick McLean, and according to historical records, he named it London simply because he thought it sounded dignified and important. That's it. No deep connection to England, no family history. He just thought, you know what sounds like a good name for a town? London. 100 years ago, London, Ohio was a farming community, rich soil, good land for crops. The town square had the classic American setup: a courthouse in the center, shops around the perimeter, churches on the corners. It was the kind of place Norman Rockwell would paint. Today, London, Ohio is still largely a farming community, but it's also become a bit of a suburb for Columbus, which is only about 25 miles away. So you've got this interesting mix of old-school rural America and modern commuter culture. People live in London but work in the big city. The town has grown, but not dramatically. It's maintained its small-town character while adapting to the 21st century. But here's where things get really interesting. Let's talk about London, Arkansas. This London is tiny, and I mean tiny. Population, around 1,000 people. It's located in Pope County in the Arkansas River Valley. Beautiful area, lots of natural scenery. But London, Arkansas is basically a blip on the map. It was founded in the late 1800s, and honestly, nobody seems to know exactly why it was named London. There are no clear records, no documented decision. It's just London. Which makes you wonder how many other town names in America are just random choices with no real story behind them. We like to think every name has meaning, has history, but sometimes people just picked something that sounded good. 100 years ago, London, Arkansas was even smaller than it is now. It was a farming and timber community. People worked hard, lived simple lives, and probably never even thought about the fact that their tiny town shared a name with one of the great cities of the world. Today, it's still quiet, still small. There's not much there except homes, a few churches, and a lot of natural beauty. But the people who live there love it. It's peaceful. It's safe. It's home. And that's the thing about these American Londons. They're not trying to be the other London. They're not trying to compete. They're just living their lives, carrying a name that happens to be famous somewhere else. Let's jump over to California. London, California. Now this one's different. It's not even really a town. It's more of an unincorporated community in Tulare County in the Central Valley. There's no official population count because it's so small and unofficial. We're talking maybe a couple hundred people, if that. London, California exists because of agriculture. The Central Valley is one of the most productive agricultural regions in the entire world. If you've eaten fruits or vegetables in America, there's a decent chance they came from this area. London is just a tiny spot on the map where some farms and homes cluster together. Was it named after London, England? Probably. But again, the records are fuzzy. What we do know is that 100 years ago, this area was already agricultural, and it hasn't changed much. It's still farms, still fields, still hard work under the California sun. Now, Texas. London, Texas. This is a ghost town. Not officially, but pretty close. It's located in Kimball County in central Texas. There's barely anything there anymore. At its peak, London, Texas had a population of maybe 150 people. Today, maybe 25, maybe. It was founded in the late 1800s as a farming and ranching community. There was a post office, a school, a store, the basics. But as people moved to cities, as the economy changed, as opportunities dried up, people left. And London, Texas faded away. 100 years ago, it was struggling, but still alive. Today, it's a reminder that not every town makes it. Not every dream survives. And there's something haunting about that. A place named after one of the greatest cities in human history, now almost completely abandoned. Then there's London, West Virginia. Another tiny one, population around 200. It's located in Kanawha County, and like London, Kentucky, it's in Appalachia. Coal country. The town exists because of the coal industry. 100 years ago, coal was king in West Virginia. Mines were everywhere. Towns popped up wherever coal was found. London, West Virginia was one of those towns. Miners lived there, worked there, raised families there. Today, the coal industry is dying. Mines are closing, jobs are disappearing, and towns like London, West Virginia are fighting to survive. The population has shrunk. Young people leave looking for opportunities elsewhere. It's a hard reality facing a lot of Appalachian communities. Finally, London, Indiana. This one's also very small, maybe a couple hundred people. It's in Shelby County, southeast of Indianapolis. Founded in the mid-1800s as a farming community. 100 years ago, it was a quiet agricultural town. Today, it's a quiet agricultural town. Not much has changed, honestly. And maybe that's okay. Maybe stability is its own kind of success. So what's the bigger picture here? Why does any of this matter? Because these Londons of America tell us something important about who we are as a country. They tell us about ambition and hope, about people who came to a new place and wanted to build something great. They named their towns after great cities because they believed they could become great cities too. Most of them didn't. Most of them stayed small. Some are thriving in their own way. Some are barely hanging on. Some are ghost towns. But they tried. And there's something beautiful about that. There's also something fascinating about how these towns have changed over 100 years. A century ago, these Londons were products of their time. Railroad towns, farming communities, mining towns. They existed because of specific economic conditions and opportunities. Today, those conditions have changed. Railroads aren't what they used to be. Small farms have been replaced by industrial agriculture. Coal mines are closing. The economy has shifted from manufacturing and agriculture to services and technology. And yet, these towns persist. They adapt. They find new identities. Or they fade away, becoming memories and historical footnotes. The real London, the one in England, has changed dramatically over 100 years too. In 1923, London was still rebuilding from World War I. It was the center of the British Empire, one of the most powerful cities on Earth. Today, the British Empire is gone, but London is still one of the world's great cities. It's evolved, it's modernized. It's become more diverse, more global, more connected. The American Londons, they've had a different journey. They've stayed small, they've stayed local, they've maintained their character even as the world around them changed dramatically. And maybe that's the real story here. Not just about names, but about identity, about what makes a place matter. Is it size? Is it fame? Is it history? Or is it the people who live there, the communities they build, the lives they live? Because when you talk to people from London, Kentucky, or London, Ohio, they don't feel overshadowed by their famous namesake across the ocean. They're proud of where they're from. They love their towns. They've built lives and families and memories there. That's what makes a place real. Not the name, not the population, not the economy, the people. So the next time you're driving through America and you see a sign that says London or any other familiar name from somewhere else, don't just drive past it. Think about the story behind it. Think about the people who named it. Think about the dreams they had. Think about the 100 years of history that followed, because every town, no matter how small, has a story worth telling. If you found this deep dive into America's hidden Londons as fascinating as I did, smash that subscribe button. We explore forgotten history, weird American stories, and the kind of stuff that makes you see the country differently. Hit the like button if you learned something new, and drop a comment telling me which small town you want us to investigate next. Do you live in one of these Londons? Tell us about it. We want to hear from real people in these real places. Share this with someone who loves history, geography, or just weird American facts. Because this is the kind of story that reminds us there's always more to discover, even in our own backyard. Thanks for taking this journey with me. I'll see you in the next one.